My name is Don Mueller. I am 62 years old, and I am gay. This is my husband.
I'm Oriel Brian Mueller, 39 years old, a proud gay man.
I'm Collis. I use she, her pronouns. I am 53 years old, and I am queer.
I'm Lauren Bennett. I am 35 years old. I use she, her pronouns, and I identify as pansexual.
My name is Goldie Brown. I'm 69 years old. I am lesbian, and my pronouns are she, her.
My church background, I grew up Catholic. After college, I've heard MCC for quite a while attending Metro Manila Pride. 2010, I was diagnosed with HIV, and I'm looking for something or someone to comfort me around that time because I'm dealing with personal struggle. I saw the church. From there on, I become one of the member of MCC Quezon City until I came here in USA. Met my husband through MCC as well, and now I'm with Founders MCC.
I grew up in a very conservative, evangelical Christian home, being taught that it's a sin to be gay. It's an abomination, basically, that you go to hell. For me, growing up, I was in massive denial of who I was. And that really caused me deep struggle as I got older. And it convinced myself that if I do the right thing and get married, God will work this out. So I got married at 21 years old to my best friend, girlfriend. And 2 years later, we were getting divorced. Obviously, nothing had changed. I then went through a period of trying to redeem myself. I joined an ex-gay ministry, Exodus International, tried to be healed. I tried to go through Christian counseling to become straight. It was a real struggle for me for a couple years. And it really was a journey for me to reevaluate my understanding of God and my understanding of my spiritual relationship with God. I began attending a LGBTQ congregation in South LA called Unity Fellowship. Unity Fellowship is very much like Metropolitan Community Church, although it's primarily African American, that teach God's complete celebration and inclusion of LGBTQ people. Eventually became a deacon and eventually sought ordination. It was ordained through Unity Fellowship. I made a move to MCC for some of my personal life, personal reasons. I was leaving South LA. Some of my life had moved, and I began attending MCC when it was still in the city of West Hollywood at the time. And I just kind of attended for several years anonymously before becoming more involved in the leadership of what was MCC LA, today is Founders MCC in Los Angeles.
I grew up in the Southern Baptist tradition in the United States, which means a very conservative religious background. We were in church every time the doors were open, and my parents were in leadership. And then when I was in my early 20s, realizing my queerness, I didn't fit there anymore and tried a lot to figure out how to work with that. And I Googled one day, is there a gay church? And that's how I found St. John's Metropolitan Community Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that's where I started my journey with MCC back about 20 years ago.
I didn't grow up in church. I grew up really in a secular city, Seattle. We didn't go to church much. We went to church only occasionally. We called ourselves Creasters, Christmas and Easters. And so we just grew up around church more than in it. And it wasn't until college when I really got introduced to a different kind of church the churches that were around us in Seattle tended to be more conserving and more evangelical. And that didn't really fit the idea of who God is to me or my family. And so we just didn't really attend at all. But when I went to college in New York, I found a church that really spoke to me of an inclusive God, of a God who is a part of all of our lives, who breathes into us and nourishes us with beauty and delight and is with us in sorrow, doesn't cause sorrow, but is with us instead. And that got me on a track of looking for a church home once I moved away from college, and I found MCC. And in MCC, I found a place where I could really unite my sexuality and my spirituality and feel like I could be a whole person there, not leave some of myself at the door, but instead bring all of who I am to God and to others.
My church background is Baptist, missionary Baptist in the country of Louisiana, New Iberia, Louisiana with my grandparents, and then Houston, Texas with my mother and siblings. I finally came to realization that the Baptist church that I grew up in was not the one I was supposed to stay in because I was not accepted. The members questioned my mother, who felt embarrassed. So I felt that energy. So I thought that I would look for another church, and I decided to go through the Yellow Pages. That's how long ago it was, in the 80s, in the Yellow Pages, and look for a church. And then I saw Resurrection MCC in Houston was affirming. So I looked it up in the dictionary to see what affirming was. And I also looked up lesbian to make sure that I was calling myself by the correct name. And then I went to Resurrection. I would go to church just before church started. Just after church started. And then I would leave before it ended. So that way I wouldn't have to bump into anybody. But then I started staying behind for the fellowship and enjoyed that. And then I, start making friends. And I've been with the church since, I think maybe 83, 84, 1983, 84. So I've been at the church that long.
When I grew up, being taught in the evangelical church, hell was a very real place of damnation and fire and brimstone and eternal torture for those who did not accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, as the one and only way to a relationship with God. So some of the teachings I grew up with, I've learned, were not necessarily correct. Today, I honestly do not believe in a literal place of hell as a physical place of torment in any way, shape, or form. I believe that God created each and every one of us unique and diverse around the globe. Just because someone has grown up in Indonesia or in Brazil and never heard about Jesus does not mean that God does not love them. And I was taught that before, that our church was going to heaven and everybody else in the world was going to hell. That just doesn't make sense to me. But according to those teachings, I was going to hell too. They didn't know that, but that's what they taught. Today I know in my heart, God loves me. So my understanding of hell today is very different than what I grew up in.
My idea of hell, basically, growing up is what we watch in the TV. I grew up literally, basically as gay. I haven't heard that I am going to hell. Never in my church where I'm attending, which is I'm a Catholic that time. So my idea of hell is mixed. Most of it is like, my idea is like what I see in the TV. Because part of me understand that nobody knows what hell is. Nobody knows what the look of the heaven is. My understanding is it's more of like how people conceive or how people perceive the idea of hell and heaven, which is the hell is where Satan is. It's fire. There's fire. There's all of the sinners were there because that's what is written in the Bible. But lately, I've been seeing that hell is actually what we are experiencing or what other people are experiencing living on earth. And the same thing, like that's how I also perceive on the heaven, that it's also here on earth. Like we can say that heaven is with my husband, heaven is with this home, heaven is with my family in the Philippines, heaven is together with my friends.
Growing up, my concept of hell was this fiery, awful place where people went and spent eternity because they were not good enough to be in heaven, because our goal was to get to heaven. And we were often scared into belief so that the images of hell were the things that drove us to want to go to heaven. Now my belief is that there really isn't a physical place called hell. There's no big red devil with horns and a tail, or there's no real place that can be that much torment. Firstly, because God loves us too much for that. But secondly, because I think our experience here on earth is what allows us to see horrible things that we could consider to be like hell here on earth. And we're challenged to bring as much heaven on earth as we possibly can.
Because I didn't grow up in church, I really feel like my concept of hell was more from movies or from what other people talked about. There was probably a time in my life when I was growing up where I was really scared about going to hell and that kind of thing. But early on, I just never really thought it was a real place. And the more that I now have studied and the more that I've gotten involved in MCC and in progressive theology, I think hell is so much more akin to where we are now on earth, and into the struggles of everyday life for so many people, and for the injustices that exist all around the world. And I don't believe in eternal damnation. I don't believe that a God who created us into being could ever condemn us forever and ever. So it's just not something that I think is compatible with a God of love. So my concept of hell has always been sort of loose at best, and now is more metaphorical.
You know, we were taught that our sins would get us into hell, and we would all experience fire and brimstone. And, you know, I didn't like that. I didn't think that a loving God who preaches love like he does, and that he is love, above all else love, that would be our end. So when I started listening to the sermons and the teachings at Resurrection, I realized that hell is an alternative place to heaven, to where you do not want to aspire to go. That, you know, things will not work out well for you. I don't see the fire and brimstone anymore. I just see that, you know, it's a separation from God that I don't want to experience.
Okay.
Bow your head, don't be bold.
Oof.
That's exactly what I grew up in.
Oof.
Bow your head, don't be bold. Just do what you're told.
That's what I thought. If I just did what they told me, everything would be fine. And there would be a place for me there.
I really like that beginning because it's my story. Is everything that the church and my grandparents told me, to be quiet, to be submissive to the church teachings. And I really like that. That really hits home.
You'll survive by doing what you're told. Said love is earned, and we can't choose. But the more you grow, you know the truth.
I think this is the way that so many of us are taught what church is like, that we have to subscribe to a certain way of being, that we're not earned because, or we're not loved because of who we are, but we have to earn our way into heaven or earn our way into God's grace. instead of just being inherently good and inherently full of dignity and worth.
That's the path that I was taught. But like you said, the more you grow, the older we get, the more we start to become aware and realize. And at least for me, my eyes started opening. I relate exactly to what he's saying. That was my life path.
Growing up, the feeling of having to earn love was such a big part of my religious existence, because I knew if I followed the rules, I was good and everybody loved me. But I saw how people treated the people who didn't follow the rules, and they were cast aside and cast away, and everybody talked about them. And it was a horrible way to learn the cost of not following the rules.
And all I want is to make you proud. If I would run, would I let you down?
Oh, wow. This part is really intriguing, and the song is just, it almost makes me want to cry, because I don't want to let my mother down. I don't want to let the church down. But then I have to, believe in what is truth as I grow older. I believe what is true.
There was a point in my life that I thought running was the only thing that I could do, because I knew that who I was would never make my family proud.
You said if I have to live without you, I don't want to live forever. And someone else is heaven, so let her close the gates. Oh, if
That's what I lived. I was trying to make my parents proud. I was living my life for my church, my parents, my family. It wasn't my life. I was living for them, trying to make them proud, trying to live up to what they expected of me.
oh, if they don't like the way you made them, they're not any better. If paradise is pressure, oh, we'll go to hell together.
I love this embodiment of this woman who is clearly David's mother, and also feels like evoking the spirit of God.
I really think that the love that she had for him and him for her is what really did save them. It was love and care and dedication to him.
It makes me think about all of the difficult conversations we have with family members, and how hard it is sometimes to start talking and to open the door into conversation, and how so often, we can be either met with beauty and love and grace, or we can be met with coldness and harshness, and even being asked to leave our families.
He went to her when he felt condemned and judged by people in the church. So she really did save him.
If we don't fit in their version of heaven, let them close the gates like that. It's more important to be in relationship with the people who you care about than to fit someone else's notion of heaven, especially when the gate can be so narrow.
Oh, if they don't like the way you made them, they're not any better. If paradise is pressure.
Paradise is pressure. What an amazing thought, that the idea of something so wonderful and beautiful can create so much pressure in our lives that we don't know what to do except run, because we know we can't meet that pressure.
Paradise is pressure. Oh, we'll go to hell together.
Those are literally hitting to the core, for a mother, that because I have to accept my child, we have to turn back. And if this is if this is what they're saying, hell, I will go hell with you. You know.
Well, she's exposing the hypocrisy of what the church teaches. 100%.
I cannot comprehend what it would be like to have somebody in my life say that to me. That it's worth spending forever in a place I might not want to be with me, just to be together. Unbelievable.
You and me, that's all we need. Blood is thicker than the pages that they read.
That's it. Blood is thicker than the pages that they read. Our love and our bond and our family is stronger than your interpretation of some pages out of a Bible that were written thousands of years ago.
That line about blood being thicker than the page is so powerful. And it makes me think of in seminary, one of our professors, Denise Hopkins, used to talk about how the text is full of white fire and like the white space between the black text of the ink on the page. And it makes me think of what can the white fire represent? And maybe part of that is our passion, our blood, our connection that's deeper than words on a page, right? It's about our experiences and about how we know love is love, and how there's something so powerful about our experience of that's deeper than someone else's words about what that might mean. It's just such a powerful image that really just sinks in deep about what that can mean.
I'm afraid of letting go of the version of me that I used to know. Crying tears in Sunday crowds. Took my hand and we walked out.
Crying tears in Sunday crowds, yes, because we can't be who we used to be because we were young then. That's a very good analogy, that we can't do what we used to do or believe in what we used to believe once we know the truth. I pray that the Lord would take me by the hand and lead me on the right path.
To have somebody who was so much an advocate for you to be able to just take you and know that it was a bad place for you to be and lead you away from harm as a parent is such a beautiful gift. And the image of that just resonates with me, as there were so many Sundays that I spent sitting in a church crying because I didn't fit.
You said if I have to live without you, I don't want to live forever. It's someone else's heaven, so let her close the gates. Oh, if they don't like the way you made them, they're not any better.
You know, the ones that are judging you are no better off, because, you know, it's not our place or theirs to do the judging. It's God's place. And they're not any better. They're not any better than us.
It's scary. It's scary to let go of that. It was scary for me. When I started, the first time I walked into a church that was LGBTQ affirming, I was terrified I was going to be struck by lightning because everything that I knew that I'd raised on said that's the wrong path, and that I have to stay on this straight and narrow that they defined for me. And it's hard to let go of that and to really trust God.
You know, I just don't want to live without Christ. And then we could just go to hell together, because they're telling me that that's where I'm going, but that's where you're going too.
Beautiful. There's that line that said, close the gates to heaven. And I wonder what would happen if we could really embrace that in a way that was healthy spiritually for people, to be able to say, we can create heaven here on earth by taking the hand of somebody who's crying in church on a Sunday and freeing them from that pain, you know, and creating relationships for logical family where biological family can't do what they need to do to support people.
That's when you're going to have to align yourself with others who are like-minded, like you are, in order to get your strength and your courage and encouragement from them, because you won't get it from the conservative church. You won't get it at all. So just prepare yourself, brace yourself for that, and have a plan. Have a plan of escape, a way of that mindset, escape from that mindset, and have a plan to escape to the heart of Christ.
They have the version of the Paradise that is very, very precious to them. That's the only paradise that they know.
Realizing for her right now, her relationship with David is paradise.
I don't wanna live forever in someone else's heaven. So let them close the gates. If they don't like the way you're made, then they're not any better. If paradise is pressure, oh, we'll go to hell together.
It's just so beautiful.
How absolutely beautiful. Oh, to have a mother like that. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna cry.
That image of leaving the church and then just walking out into the street together, hand in hand, drying tears and just running into freedom is such a beautiful thought for me in that moment.
If this is the gates that you want me to go to, where you're not accepted for who you are, where you're not loved for who you were made to be, then close the gates. I don't want a part of that heaven.
You know, I had a hard time coming out because I was trying to do good, you know, trying not to let so many people down with my actions or my decision, with my decision to come out. And I was letting down a husband that I had at the time, my son, my mother, my grandparents, it was my cousins. It was just so many people, my sister, my brother. I just wanted to let them know that if it's anything that I could choose, I would not choose this. It's just in me. It's not a choice. It's me. It's who I am.
That video of his mom, and with his mom just carrying him and dancing and seeing how precious they are together and how innocent David when he was a kid.
Right.
Those are the powerful message of he is just innocent.
The only other thing I am thinking about is just like the huge pressure it would take to actually leave a place like your church that you grew up in, and like the, you know, in MCCs we usually have tissue boxes all over the pews, which is such a funny thing. And one time we had a comedian who came to town who was ridiculing us for the amount of tissue boxes in our church. And people have this experience of coming in and crying the whole time when they're in church. And I just I think there's so many reasons for our tears. Like there's feelings of being able to, be welcomed and be accepted for the first time, but also like those feelings of letting go of our past selves who've been rejected, or like this image of, you know, a mom walking out of the church with her son to say like, this is more important, is just so beautiful.
We can really learn as people of faith, and for me as a clergy person, to think about really what does it mean to embody family to people who have come from these backgrounds of spiritual abuse almost, where we're trying to recreate a safe space, a brave space for people to think about what they once believed and really explore what they might believe. You know, in my own background, it was a very conservative background. And so because of that, there was so much that I did not allow myself to question or to wonder about. And I think in MCC, we strive to give people those spaces where they can take things apart and really examine what they had growing up and what fits now for who they are in humanity. And that is such a unique space to be a faith leader in, because we get to really experience that with people from our own backgrounds, as well as learning from others who've been in similar situations like this.
Like the song was saying that this is hell, but this is not hell for me.
Right.
This is hell for you,
Yeah.
but this is heaven for me. You know, this is heaven together with my family. This is hell for you because my son is gay.
Right.
You know, but we are in hell inside the church.
In the church, we're in hell.
We are in hell inside the church.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like, what is the real definition of hell and what is the real definition of heaven? David, I love you. I celebrate you. I am so proud of you. And thank you. Thank you for being brave. And thank you. We are so grateful you have a parents and a mom, a family that who can walk with you and celebrate you as who you are. And know that there's a big community that supports you and love you and will be there for you. Continue processing on how to be you and continue on discovering your authentic self. Continue on exploring more and enjoying who you become.
David, I just want to say, as a queer person and as a mother, this is an amazing work of art. Not just from the dancing and the music and your voice, but the overall message. And I'm certain that your mother is filled with gratitude and love for this beautiful, beautiful piece of art. And I just want to say thank you, because you've touched my soul.
David, thank you for your courage, your bravery, and your willingness to put your personal life out there on film and in song, where you know there will be judgment, there will be critics, there will be, to expose your own personal life like that is terrifying. And thank you for the courage for doing that, because by doing that, there are millions of kids out there and young people and some adults that have been hiding these same secrets their whole lives of who they are and have grown up in the church and are terrified of taking those exact steps that you took. And you're putting it out there in video and in song. I know it's going to give strength to others to finally take those first steps.
Oh, I'm just so grateful that, David, you told your story and that you told it in such a beautiful way. You know, your words are so powerful and bring so much meaning with them. So I'm so grateful for that, and grateful for the vulnerability of showing family videos and photos and letting us into your life in that way. And pray that you continue to find support and love and nourishment in your family, and encourage other families to find that same kind of love and support. People and their families dealing with their sexuality or their gender identity or any other kind of difference that they have too.
Oh, David, you're doing such a wonderful job, and your message is so true, so real, so relevant. Continue with it. Continue showing it wherever you can, that there are young people and old people like me who still needs the message that we're okay. We're okay.